Hi, and welcome to another live match preview show for the podcast. My name is Ozzy, and I'm your host for this evening. Hope everyone has enjoyed the holidays so far during the Christmas period. Now it's back to action as Liverpool face Wolves tomorrow at Anfield. So it's another chance for Liverpool to register 4 wins in a row, which, if you'd asked me a couple of months ago, probably unheard of that we can even pile up constant wins in that manner. But nonetheless, we're here. It's time for us to do the preview. So we'll analyze our opponents in Wolves, and then we'll also present the team news because we had our press conference on Tuesday. So there hasn't been quite sort of any further updates, but we will still present it again. And then we'll do the predicted lineups and also the score prediction. So let's start with analyzing our opponents in Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now, they're currently 20th in the league, 0 wins this season, only 2 draws to their name, and 15 defeats. It's not Christmas anymore, so I hope we're not the ones giving them free gifts and awarding Wolves with their first win of the season. That would be very typical of Liverpool to do that. Tomorrow will be a special and an emotional moment before kickoff. It's been confirmed that Diogo Jota's kids will be the mascots walking onto the pitch. It's the first time both teams are facing each other since the tragic loss of Diogo Jota and his brother Andre Silva. So it's going to be an emotional atmosphere and for tomorrow. But in regards to Liverpool and their recent form, as I mentioned previously, we've managed to win 3 games in a row. So there's an ounce of consistency now in our results. But I'm not entirely pleased, if I'm being honest with you. Some fans are content with that, where as long as we're gaining points and climbing up the table, that's what counts. And I agree with it to an extent, but for me, the performances have been very, very poor. And honestly, difficult to watch at times. We have so much quality in our squad. We should be watching a high brand of football, champagne football, as some might even refer it to. But unfortunately, that hasn't been the case for us this season. Sometimes, the way things work, I don't think we're a team that are low in confidence, but when you're facing a team that are in such poor form where they haven't registered 1 win all season, it could help ignite a level of confidence for this Liverpool team that can help us improve our level of performances in the upcoming fixtures. So quite frankly, I'm expecting us to demolish Wolverhampton tomorrow with a huge scoreline. So let's move on and present the team news. Now, in regards to Liverpool, Arsenal confirmed in the press conference on Tuesday that Isak is out for 2 months. If I'm being honest, that doesn't sound too bad. I was expecting him to be ruled out for the rest of the season based on it being a leg break, but thankfully it's not as bad as first feared. Bradley and Cody Gakpo will have late fitness tests tomorrow, as they're both regarding 50-50 to be involved in the fixture. Unfortunately, Joe Gomez and Wataru Endo are unavailable for this fixture. No confirmation on Frimpong's availability, but I'm expecting him to be involved, as he only suffered a busted lip, so that shouldn't be enough to keep him out of the game. I think he will be involved in some capacity. Unfortunately, one of our best players of the season, Dominic Szoboszlai, is suspended for this fixture. Now, in terms of Wolves, Rodrigo Gomez, Bellegarde, Munetsi, Bentley, and Chiwome are out for this fixture. Totti, unfortunately, has been ruled out for a long period of time. Agbadu is on international duty at AFCON, so the return of Mosquera into Wolves lineup probably comes at a perfect time. Bueno could also return, but his availability hasn't been confirmed, so it's a bit touch and go if he will be involved tomorrow or not. So what we'll do now is we'll present predicted lines. We'll start with the away team, and that is Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now, in terms of the goalkeeper, we all know who the goalkeeper will be, and that's going to be Jose Sa. So he will be in goal. If my not DRB, what's going on here? Why did Jose Sa come up? There we go. Let's try again. Jose Sa. Maybe if I write on, there we go. Jose Sa in goal for Wolves, and then Doherty has been playing on the left-hand side, sorry, right-hand side, so maybe he will be suited for this back three formation playing on the right-hand side. In the middle, I'm expecting it to be Mosquera, as they don't have Totti. They're not that Mosquera in Arsenal. We're talking about the Wolverhampton one. And on the left-hand side, I'm expecting Bueno to be involved, so I'll put him in the lineup to be in the team. Now, which Bueno is it? I always get this confused. I'm going to go with who is this centre back Bueno, so we're going to go with him. Um, Now, in terms of the midfield, it could be the return of a former Red in Hova. Hova, I'm sure you guys remember, was a player that came through the ranks. Um, but unfortunately, didn't make it and was part of the deal that allowed. Who was playing on the other side? I can't remember now, but he was part of the deal that allowed him to move there, and then we brought someone in. My mind is totally gone blank. So let's put him uh in the team there. So he'll be playing as a right wing back, which I think will suit his skill set. To be fair, Wolf will be the one on the left hand side. He's actually been linked to a move to Aston Villa, so maybe Wolves will need to make sure that he doesn't depart. Grishki, an interesting player. Predominantly plays centre back, but has played in the middle of the park for Wolves this season. So I think based on the options available, that might be the position that he starts tomorrow. And I'm expecting Andre. Uh, where is he? Andre to play in the middle alongside with João Gomez. There you go. So that is the Wolves midfield. And up top, you've got a player in Strand Larson who was fantastic last season, but hasn't really hit the heights this season. He's only scored one goal in 15 games. Um, Still been linked to a move away from the club. You've got the likes of West Ham in pursuit to sign the striker, but based on this season, maybe that's not the right profile for them. And I'm expecting Huang He Chan to play alongside him. So this is the predicted lineup that I am expecting to see tomorrow. Now, in terms of players to look out for or any danger men, I think in this formation, you've got João Gomez, who I think will be the player that plays a bit more box to box. He'll be in and around the box. Um, so he's an interesting player. He's a player I quite like, to be fair. We haven't looked at him in the past. Um, if he ever became a Liverpool player, I think he would be a good addition to our squad. Gretzky is an interesting one, technical player, but he is more defensive minded. Wang Hee-chan is very good in attacking the channels, so he can easily be effective and quite frankly disruptive to the way we play. And then you're expecting Strand Larson to present a physical battle up against whoever plays in centre back, which of course will most likely be Van Dijk and Konate. So even though he might not be in good scoring form, we still have to be on top of our A game and make sure we keep him at bay. So he's definitely a danger man. You've got Holborn and Wolf that can definitely cause havoc on their flanks and provide the creativity for this team. So not a lot of danger in terms of the players in the lineup, but in any given day, a team can it's on a counter attack, and we have shown this season we can be quite vulnerable in those moments. Or set pieces could be a factor in this team breaking the deadlock or scoring a goal in this game. So hopefully that is not going to be the case, and we are pretty much in for a routine win. Before we do the Liverpool, I'm just going to go through some of the comments there. Bo says, "Ozzy brother, big up, Bo. I hope you're doing well." Sorry, I'm doing good, thank you. I hope you're well as well, Bo. I said, Wolves great and upset. Could see it because of Slot. I'm hoping not. You just never know, to be honest with you. Um, Liverpool are one of those teams where I don't know if it's more from our side or if it's more from the opponents, where I feel like those type of teams that are struggling seem to turn up against Liverpool, especially when it's at Anfield. They end up playing. like their whole lives depend on it, or they're playing at the top final. So because of that, you see a lot of players raising their game. But otherwise, it wouldn't be that kind of routine, and you expect it to be a straightforward win for the Reds based on where we are in the league. And this team that we're facing in Wolves, they haven't even notched up a single win this season. So I would be surprised if they were able to get the first win. But then again, this is Liverpool. We have been very inconsistent. We do still have some frailties in our team, i.e., defending set pieces, getting hit on the counter attack. So it's not going to be. This could be a banana skin. That's how I would probably phrase it. I don't expect Wolves to cause any damage to us, but I do feel like it could be a banana skin where if we're not on top of our game or we're not focused in certain moments of the game, we could get punished. But I'm not expecting an upset at all, to be fair. Do you still be on sorry since you used to join us? I didn't watch the game, but I've just seen the scoreline. Yes, 1-0 to the Red Devils. Yeah, very, very disappointing in that regards. Abdul, yeah, Abdul, he says, hi, Assalamu alaikum, how are you? Welcome, salam to you, Abdul. Hope you're doing well. And he says, Liverpool versus Wolves, rest in peace, Jota. Jota's family will be there at the game. Jota Jr. and his mascot. Smash the last as a family, welcome. Yeah, being Abdul, yes, that is correct. And I mentioned earlier in the show that his children will be the mascots before the game kicks off. So, yeah, there'll be, an emotional settings, I would say, at Anfield. Yeah, hopefully, things go well for everyone. Also, but Anfield can't leave early if Wolves lead 3 after Ozzy. Um, I don't expect Wolves to lead 3 at halftime. That would be a miracle of scorelines even at that point. So no, I'm not expecting us to concede that many goals. Um, if, just to entertain your question, that if that was to occur, forget the cloud. I'm probably going to log off from my watch along because I can't accept having to watch my team going 3-0 down against a team that barely scores and quite frankly doesn't even win. So no, for me, that's not acceptable to be fair. But no, that is something you do not expect to happen in this game. Andrew says we are leaking goals and not killing games. Prediction: LFC 2, Wolves 1. Big up yourself for your prediction there. Now let's present the lineup. So, predicted lineup, I should say, in regards to Liverpool. Of course, it has to be the one, the only. Alisson Becker in goal. At right back, I'm going for Frimpong because we don't have. Well, Conor Bradley is 50-50. So I'm going based off what the coach has presented in the press conference. So when someone 50-50, you expect them to be on the bench. So I would say start with Frimpong in this game and maybe bring on Conor Bradley towards the latter stages of the match. So I'll start with Frimpong. That's what I'm predicting. I'm expecting Kerkez to remain in the team. He's voiced out his performances so far this season, saying that he's found it quite tricky to play, 2, 3 games in like 6, 7 days. And that's been quite evident. That's, I think, something I've voiced in the past where, he's coming into a team where the expectations are high, the pressure is at a different level as well. So for me, it's one of those things where he will take time to get accustomed to the life of being a Liverpool player. Um, he has made progress, so we have to give him some credit for what he has done so far in a Liverpool shirt. And then I'm expecting Van Dijk and I'm expecting Konate to start alongside him. Just a few comments here. Steve is asking, isn't Bradley suspended or is that Sobo? So Sobozlai is the player that is suspended. Bradley is injured from the last game. So I think it was a bit of a muscle strain. So we're not sure if he's available. Arne Slot confirmed that he's 50-50 for this game, just like Cody Gakpo. So hopefully we'll get some sort of update. But at this stage, very, very hard to say if he's going to be involved or not, just because we didn't get a press conference today. And Steve's asked, Bradley the yellow car machine does it. Yeah, he does like to pick up a yellow card here and there. Like, hopefully he does it in this game because he's just served a 1 match suspension for the yellow cards. So hopefully it's not going to be where he keeps piling them up and then because every 5 games where you get a suspension, right? So hopefully he can calm it down and not add more to the tally right now. I'd rather he add goals and assists to his tally rather than yellow cards. And back to the team in terms of the midfield, I'm expecting it to be Gravenberch alongside Curtis Jones. And in the number 10 role, not my choice, but I'm expecting McAllister to remain in the team. On the left, I'm expecting it to be Vance, even though that's not what I would go with. But if Gakpo's not completely available, then I think he'll be an option from the bench. Therefore, Vance will remain in that left-sided, or should I say, inside forward role on the left. And on the right, what do Liverpool do? No supposed lie. No Mohamed Salah. He's of course at AFCON right now. So what do you do? Who's the option? If we had Conor Bradley, then maybe Bradley at right back and Frimpong. Because Frimpong could be a viable option for that right wing. And quite frankly, I would not be surprised if that happens because even if Bradley is 50, 60%, I think he would start Bradley and Frimpong on that right hand side in order to avoid placing another player who we all know hasn't been given a chance. But I'm going based on what we're hearing so far that these players are not available. So Arne Slot has no choice but to play Chiesa on that right hand side. If he doesn't, it'll probably be Bradley and Frimpong. But at the same time, I will be quite annoyed with that just because, quite frankly, we're not blessed with too many options there. But we have a forward, an experienced forward in Chiesa who barely gets a mention in the team. Arsenal needs to do the right thing and just give him his first start. We're playing against the 20th team, 20th place team in the league. Let's not mess him around. Let's just give him one start to his name. Will it happen? I'm trying to predict. I'm trying to put this energy in the universe. I don't know if he will. If I'm being honest with you, this coach always shows that he will somehow find the loophole and not feature Chiesa in the starting lineup. And up top, I am going with Ekitike. So this is my predicted lineup. So feel free to drop a comment and let me know what you guys think. Let me go through some of the comments before I present the score predictions. There we go. So Bo has given me his lineup. So his is Ali Frimpong, Lucky, Van Dijk, Robbo, Graham Jones, Chiesa, Verts, Ria, and Ikotike. So Lucky in the team is a bit of a surprise for me. I don't think he would be given an opportunity to start unless there's an issue with Konate, which I'm not aware of. Um, I guess if we are going to play Lucky in a match, maybe a team like Wolves would be the right way to go based on their current poor form. I still think it would be a huge gamble for the young kids. So I don't think we should throw him in the starting lineup. If he's in the squad, then maybe get him involved with like minutes here and there. But I think it's a lot of pressure for him to step into the first team and hit the ground running straight away. So I think that's a little bit of pressure on the young kid. That's not necessarily at this stage because we do have Konate in this team, and I believe he is available for this fixture. And then you've gone for Grab Jones and Chiesa. So I'm assuming Chiesa on the right, Verts on the 10, and Rio. That makes sense. Like you said, I'm not mad at that. To be fair, I would like Rio to be given an opportunity, but I feel like I'm being a bit deluded here to even put Chiesa in my lineup. So if I had Chiesa and Rio, then I feel like I'm just being a bit cheeky here. But I would love to see that happen, if I'm being honest. But with this coach, I don't think that is going to happen. Drew Stevens asks, isn't really lucky at DM? He can play centre back as well. From what I know, I believe he's a centre back that can play DM. So it's the other way around from what I know. So he's a natural centre back, I would say. But even so, I guess he can provide cover for both roles as we don't have a lot of players available for either position. So either way, we will probably need him at some point in our upcoming fixtures. I will just confirm the injuries: Leone, Gomez, Endo, Isak, Bajtic, uh, and Afcon, of course, Salah suspended. So both that is correct. Bo says, Ibu do not deserve to play at all. For me, he's out until he signs a contract. I don't care if Lucky is not ready at all. Ibu do not deserve to play. Unfortunately, we don't really have a choice. I know he hasn't signed the contract, and it's quite frustrating because we're expecting someone to at least let us know where we stand. Are you committed to the cause or are you planning on moving on? We'd love to know, isn't it? But if this thing, if he's not signing a new contract, he's not going to reveal his future and say, "Oh, I'm going to this club," or "I'm not signing a new contract," because it affects the season in terms of the team morale. It affects his involvement in the team, even though maybe in the background he has a team lineup, i.e., a Real Madrid. No, surprise, surprise there, but he wouldn't jeopardize his playing time in that way. And I don't think Arne Slot would take that risk just because someone hasn't committed to a new contract. Right now, let's be honest, guys, we don't have a lot of options. Players that we assumed would be cover or backup for that centre back position, they're not even available. I'm talking about the likes of Endo and Joe Gomez. They are out for the foreseeable future. So if they're not available, we don't really have a choice. We literally only have two fit centre backs. Lucky has been a player that we've had to brought in to place on the bench, quite frankly. I don't think he'll be utilised unless we really, really need to, because he's not ready for the first team. And when someone's not ready, it's not fair to throw them in the firing line, especially with a coach who, in my opinion, doesn't have the belief or the trust in utilising youth players. If this was Jurgen Klopp, then I feel a bit more confident because I would feel like Jurgen Klopp knows what he's doing, and if for some reason this doesn't go well for the player, Jurgen Klopp will stand tall and just say, "Look, it's my fault. I played in too soon." He'll take the bullet. Arne Slot, I don't see it that way. I feel like he's quite ready to throw players under the bus, or he'll just say how it is. He'll say the boys are ready, and I was desperate because I don't have any centre backs. That's not what you really want to hear from your manager, isn't it? So I'm hearing what you're saying until he's not signed a new contract and he shouldn't be in the team. For me, the contract thing is not even an issue because mentally, I've already said to myself, he's gone. I don't expect him to be a Liverpool player at the end of the season. For me, I didn't want him in the team for the last few weeks was because he was out of form. He has improved, I would say, the last 4 or 5 games. But when we were going through that losing streak, he was diabolical. He was really, really bad, causing all sorts of mistakes, individual mistakes, and just being one of our weakest links in the team. But he has improved, so therefore, I feel like he remains in the team. And quite frankly, it's not like we're blessed with too many options. So yeah, it's just how it goes, unfortunately. Adam says Arsenal doesn't trust bench or academy players. The bench, yeah, in terms of rotating, he doesn't, which a little bit annoyed and surprised about that because I feel like we do have a good squad. I know we've got a lot of injuries now, so the squad isn't as you know not full of quality in squad depth, but we still have some viable options that can definitely make a difference. But he needs to utilize the squad. There's no way he just goes on and just uses 11 players and plus 1 or 2 subs. He needs to really give his trust to the players in the squad to make them a part of the team. Even if they use them sparingly, he has to utilize them going forward. Most lucky is a centre back. That's correct. He is. Oh damn, he is. He's ahead of Amar Lano. Yeah, Lano, unfortunately, 2 appearances, 2 red cards. So yeah, not ideal there. This is coming fixtures: Wolves, Leeds, Fulham, Arsenal, Barnsley, Burnley, Marseille, Bournemouth, and Qarabag. So yeah, all games on paper that should be winnable, but will that be as straightforward as it sounds? No, especially with the way Liverpool have been playing this season. I don't think so. Well, says when you are NFC coach, you need to set example, and if he starts even anytime soon, I'm getting absolutely crazy. The thing is, we have no choice. if we had, let's say we signed the Mark Gahey and we had Joe Gomez and Leone was available, then you can kind of choose based on, who's available. But it's literally Virgil van Dijk and Uber Konate as our centre options. Arsenal, we all see he's not really heavily focused on the youth players, but he's had no choice but to promote one of them just to make up the numbers. And quite frankly, we might not even have a full nine players on the bench. It might be seven, because that's what it was in the previous game. So we are quite thin in terms of numbers and players in the squad. So we have no choice. If you dislike a player, that's all good. But we all know football is a results game, and we need to get results. We need to climb up the table, and we're you know in arm's length of being in the top four. So we have to continue. 3 wins on the bounce. I know a lot of us aren't fully on board with the coach, but until he's not dismissed, we have to support the team, and we just have to, bide our time and support the coach as well to some extent. Adam says Arsenal is a stubborn head coach and very bad man manager. We need a change in head coach after the end of the season. I agree. I don't think it will happen during the season. I think this is what I am just sort of like evaluating in my mind. When we were going through that rough patch where we were losing 3-0 to Forest and then 4-1 to PSV, I think the club were ready to sack Arne Slot. I really do. Because that was a very low point of our season. And quite frankly, a low point of our club. That was the first time we've lost so many games since the 50s. So even Roy Hodgson had a better ratio than Arne Slot. That goes to show how bad we were during the period. And I feel like what they've done is they've assessed the interim market. And I feel like there is no one of adequate quality there. And they've probably got a list of long-term successors to be managers for years and years and have realized that no one is available. So for them, the best option was to just keep, you know, Arsenal on board. And if the results continue to get worse, then I think he would have been dismissed by end of November slash early December. But because he's turned things around, whether we like him or not, he has. We haven't lost in quite a number of games. So because we've been more consistent, we've picked up a few draws, picked up 3 wins on a row. So on paper, he hasn't lost in quite a few times. I don't think he's lost in about 6 games. So because of that, you can't dismiss a coach, whether he's the long-term manager or not. If he's getting us the results, that's what counts. That is literally how it works, unfortunately. So we can call him a bad head coach or bad man manager or stubborn head coach. It doesn't matter. If he's getting the results, the club will have to stick by him because we can't find anyone better. And I understand it. Like, don't get me wrong. I think the route would have been to go for Steven Gerrard as an interim coach because I feel like he would have brought a good feel factor to the club and with the fans as well. But maybe they don't feel like he's of adequate quality or he's not, you know, good enough to take this team forward in the short term. Because remember, if you were to get Steven Gerrard on interim, if he's losing back-to-back games, it would look very silly of Liverpool to sack the interim manager and try and get another interim manager. It looks a bit of a shambles if that was to occur. So they probably went with the more measured approach and thought, let's keep him on board. If it gets really bad when we're losing 5 out of 5 games, then he has to go. Then there's no choice. But because he's turned it around to an extent where I feel like results have shown that he has improved, but as a team and in terms of the level of performances that we produced, I think we've actually slightly digressed. Um, Not this season, I'm comparing it to last season. Um, but if he's getting us the results, he will be at the touchdown, unfortunately. Well, since Emery hasn't changed the last few days, he's 50-50 as well. I think if he is 50-50, I think he'll get the nod because we're in a bit of a desperate situation. The other players like Bradley and Gakpo, we have adequate cover for those roles. So I don't think they will be pushed. But if it's Konate, I think he will be pushed, to be fair. Um, just gonna go. Hey, big up to Eddie's Football. He says, big up Ozzy. Looks like your boys are turning things around. Hope all is good with you. Yeah, it is. It's been a long time. Hope you're doing well. Guys, please make sure to subscribe to Eddie's Football Waffle. Great content creator there. Yeah, it looks like, our boys have turned it around. I think, oh, I'm talking about me in the chat because Eddie is a Manchester United fan. But yes, we are getting the results, but I am still very skeptical of the coach. I don't like his management style, his tactical approach. I don't feel like he has utilized the squad to, what we probably have, which is a quality group of players, in my opinion. So, yeah, he's not won me over in that regards, but he's getting the results, and you know how it is. It's a results game in the end of the day, and right now, that's just how it is, unfortunately. For if you're slot out, I guess, but if you're slot in, then you probably say, he's won so many um games for you guys. We shouldn't really be complaining. Um, Windows formation for this team. He's gone for 4-2-3-1, which is our normal formation. He's gone for Anson, Frimpong, Van Dijk, Konate, Robertson. So he's gone for Robertson ahead of Pepe. That's fair. Welbeck, Jones, Chiesa, McAllister, Verts, and then TK. So that's an interesting team there. Uh, I just asked everyone in the chat, what players do we need in January and the summer? We'll speak about transfers during the show. And this is not nothing that is gospel, but we might be surprised with what happens in the summer. So you can take that as a positive or negative. We'll talk about it later in the show. Um, also, obviously, I am a youth coach, and one of my players were gonna leave after the season. You know what I did? I explained to him that if I'm not gonna play him anymore, because I need players who want to play, it's free. But I feel like with Arne Slot, he's in a bit of a tricky position only because his team have been quite poor this season. He hasn't got a lot of great results, if I'm being honest with you. So he knows that his job is on the line. So he can't really gamble. And that's one of the reasons why I believe he doesn't have full faith in the youth players because he feels like you can't trust them. If they are ready, if they are, generational talents, like if he had Trent Alexander-Arnold in his youth academy, he'd definitely promote them. I don't think he's just going to go off potential because if it affects the results, then it affects his job altogether. So you just think he's one of those coaches where even if someone's not playing well and he knows what they can bring to the table, he won't drop them. That's been quite evident. I'm not saying Konate is one of his favorites because he's not. Not the way he started last season because he had Kwanzaa ahead of Konate in the first game of the season. But generally, there'll be players where he built trust, like your Gakpos and your Van Dijks and, all these type of players. He'll have full faith in himself. If they are available, they will start. Even if they're in poor form, he will give them the platform to build on their performance and improve going forward. So he's in a very high pressured moment right now. I'm not saying his job is under question right now from the board's point of view. But I still feel like he knows he needs to continue this lack of form where we're picking up wins because I don't think the performances are reflecting our level of play right now. Our level of play has been very poor. I've been very disappointed in how we played this season. I'm not expecting wonders when we start playing champagne football all over again because quite frankly, I don't think that's going to be the case. But if we can get some results in and we can pile on some more points, we've got Arsenal coming. If we were to get 3 points against them, that would be a huge boost of confidence throughout the club, including the fan base. So let's see. We'll take one game at a time, but I don't expect the coach to favour a young player above senior player because he's, not being good form. Obviously, do we need a change of head coach? We do, but it's not going to happen now. I think it will happen at the end of the season. Obviously, it's really not hard that some people make it out as. It is, but of course, his job is on the line. So when something's in a high pressured moment like that, he's not going to experiment right now, in my opinion. Steve said need to get here as soon as possible. I totally agree with you. I just don't see it, unfortunately. Uh, he hasn't scuppered his transfer. He himself is leaving plans for hypocrite. Yeah, that's something that caught my attention the other day when I heard that he didn't want to sign a new contract. I feel like they, especially Steve Parish, he's probably thinking, "What on earth have I just done?" Instead of he's probably thinking from a business point of view that I could have earned £35 million, and in the end, I had to listen to his ultimatum, which was if Gehi goes, I go as well. And now, a few months down the line, Gehi is definitely leaving at the end of the season, unless someone places the bid in January, which I don't think will happen. Uh, and now the coach is saying, I'm not part of the future either. If I'm being honest, I'm not hugely surprised that Glasner isn't signing a new contract because he's voiced a couple of times about his dissatisfaction of not being able to add more players to the squad. It's the first time Palace have been involved in European football, and he hasn't got the squad. He hasn't got the numbers to rotate and switch teams around during the season. So he has voiced that concern quite a bit. So I'm not surprised that he's deciding to move on. Maybe he's got an offer on the table that we don't know about. Could it be Liverpool? Can't rule it out. I don't think he will be on top of many Liverpool fans' shortlist, but he is an option. Let's be honest. Last since Palace, Chelsea, Man City, guys, that's why PSV, Forest, Brentford is unacceptable. Yeah, but we got to move forward. We can't look at the past now. That's all done, in my opinion. The house has been exposed and found out. Yeah, I do think he's been found out as well, to be fair. Um, Will says we need centre back, and let's say a Liverpool coach would make this team shine if the man is good enough. You agree? That's why I feel like he has been found out. He's just shown a lack of quality in terms of his man management skills. Even his tactical approach has been a bit underwhelming. But I don't feel like he's utilised those players very well. I know players are playing in positions that they don't really excel in, and that's actually hampered our development. And I feel like he's placed a lot of the new players too soon, in my opinion. When you have so many new players come through the window or through the team, I should say, you have to be a bit more calculated on how you involve them. Some players literally hit the lights and they are firing, like your AKT case. But some players need to rotate a little bit, or they need to understand what is expected from a league point of view in terms of the intensity that we play, but also the league where it's more physical, it is more intense, it is 100 miles per hour, so they have to get accustomed to that as well. So we just have to be a bit more smarter, which I don't think we were. Because under Jurgen Klopp, whenever we signed new players from different leagues, he wouldn't throw them in the team straight away. He would slowly embed them, and when the time is right, then they will, become starters in the team. But he hasn't done that, and I feel like he's mismanaged the situation a little bit. Andrew said it appears that some supporters and players of Liverpool have expressed a decrease in their confidence regarding our stock position as head coach. Honestly, trust in the head coach. Um, I agree, but there you'd be surprised. I think on this channel, um, I think large parts of us are slot out. If you're slot in, please let me know in the chat. I think large parts of us are slot out. But if you go through other Liverpool channels, or if you go and speak to people online, or in terms of your friend circles, not everyone shares the same opinion. A lot of fans are still pretty much slot in. They have faith in the coach. Um, I've seen some frailties in his management style, which I don't like. Um, so that's why I'm not fully on board with this coach as a long-term successor. I think we need to find a new coach next season that can take this team forward because, quite frankly, I feel like we've got a great squad. We maybe just need a few players to complete the jigsaw, and then I feel like we can really go forward and achieve plenty of success for years to come. but not under Arne Slot, in my opinion. Um, both says crazy. Abdul said, big up everyone. Assalamu alaikum. How are you? Smash the likes button and subscribe. Best in being, welcome. Be yourself. Abdul Batum Salam to you. Um, Delicious says, but what age categories do you coach? Bo says under 16. That's pretty cool. Um, Bo says a coach of Liverpool needs to take chances in play with the ball and being offensive in the head. Why do not Slot have this? It's a good question. Even the way we played last season, we weren't very attack-minded as a team. We were very calm and composed in the build-up, and then very good in the counter-pressing moments. But otherwise, we weren't playing heavy metal football as Jurgen Klopp, like to have reference when he was the Liverpool coach, or should I say, he was the Liverpool manager, wasn't he? Um, it's a different brand of football. I don't know. I feel like that is just his style of play, unfortunately. So I feel like that's something that needs to change. But if that is the coach's style, that is his style. That's what he has belief in. That's his principles. And for me, that's not good enough for Liverpool Football Club. And I'm not just doing the whole comparison to your club and I want someone to play that kind of level football. But the thing is, as a club and as a fan of Liverpool for a long, long time, we've always been renowned to play great attacking football, but with more end product. We've actually won trophies at the end of it as well. So that's what I want to see. This brand of football for me is not appealing. It's boring, if I'm being honest with you. Uh, and it needs to change. Some may be fine with it because you're getting points on the board, you're climbing up the table, you're involved in competitions, and you're close to the top four in your domestic league. But that is not good enough, in my opinion. Boss says, bring your pillow to a stream tomorrow. I may have to. Um, if it's that boring, this chair reclines. So do you not be surprised if I recline it and end up napping during the stream? Because if we're not able to beat a Wolves team, yeah, what's the point? That's how I'm looking at it. Boss, it may not be a shit show, but it's going to be pretty sleep show. Yeah, it won't all put us to sleep. You just never know, isn't it? You never know. Um, But that's the comments, and that is my predicted lineup. Now, in terms of the prediction, we referenced that we're not happy with Scott's tactics and stuff, but at the same time, I'm expecting us to get the win, and I'm expecting us to win in style. This is a team that haven't notched up a single win this season, so therefore, I want this scoreline to be very high. But then I'm thinking, I'm not sure if my coach will do it in that way. So I'm going to go for a 3-0 victory for the Reds. I'm expecting Ekitike, Florian Vance, my client, to get on the score sheet, and Curtis Jones to get his name on the scoreline as well. So that is my predicted lineup. Um, Steve, something would you say for George tomorrow? No, no. I think that would be diabolical. Just as bad as losing for me. A draw against Wolves, yeah, it's not acceptable to be fair. Boasting a 1-0 win, Chiesa 88 minute, that would be amazing. Would that be good enough for you? Yeah, because Chiesa, the scoreline, no, but I'll be pleased about Chiesa, getting a match winner. That would please me more than anything else. And he would deserve for that because and stuff. We'll still give him credit for whatever the reason. Um, I don't know when we'll know, why there's an issue between the player and the coach, but hey, maybe one day we'll find out. I would say Liverpool makes the team look good. Well, if they make Wolves look good, yeah, we've got a big problem then. If I'm being honest, yeah. So if we lose to Wolves somehow, no, no, we can't. We can't. It starts with 8 hours stream. Um, I don't know if I could do 8 hours stream. Um, but if I'm heated, yeah, expect a stream where I won't be holding back. Let's just say it like that. Double D, but double D is always the same. If we get three, then that means there'll be an ONG. Oh, yeah, can you imagine that? Damn ads. Um, bro says gotta be. Let's see. I'm not hoping that we lose like that. Um, if we lose to Wolves, that is a sackable offense. Let's not be around the bush. That is a sackable offense. Um, Wolves going for a lost a hat trick. Imagine the guy that's only scored one goal in 15 games gets a hat trick. You can never put it past Liverpool, unfortunately. But I'm hoping that is not the case and Liverpool get the win, make it 4 wins in a row. Now, before we close the show, no more transfers to talk about, unfortunately. It's gone a bit quiet since the breaking news or the bomber that Semenyo has decided to move on uh, to join Man City. Now, in terms of Liverpool, this is a player that we've been linked with in Bradley Barcola, and whether you got him as a credible source or not, you know, take it as you will. But Indy mentioned that Bradley Barcola has told his agent that if he moves to Liverpool, he wants assurances that he will be a first team player at Anfield. Now, my thoughts on the player, I'm sure a lot of the regulars will know. Barcola is a player that I rate very, very highly. We were strongly linked with him in the summer to join Liverpool as a Diaz replacement. It didn't happen because I don't think PSG were willing to let go of the attacker at the time. But this season, he's not been heavily involved in the team, so maybe it would be an opportunity to sign him. Is it a realistic signing for January? If I'm being honest with you guys, I don't think it is. I think it will take an arm and a leg to prize him away. And to do it mid-season, I don't think PSG will be willing to let the player depart. Maybe this is a summer move that we can discuss in the future, but right now I don't think this is a viable move unless the player pushes for it and wants to join Liverpool at all costs, which doesn't normally happen in January, but you can't rule it out completely. So for me, in terms of profile of player, I really rate him. I think he'd be a fantastic player. In fact, if he wants to join Liverpool, I think he would be ahead of Gakpo. That's how much I rate him. But I don't see it happening in January. I see it happening more towards the summer, if there's any truth to the rumor. Um, just gonna go through some of the comments before we speak about the next topic. Uh, Aldo says we said about DM and wingers. Uh, yes, I definitely agree with wingers. If you mean that Salah leaves, then yes, it does become multiple wingers, I guess, that we need to sign. But I think I'd be very surprised if we were to sign anyone this January window. I'm hoping, but it sounds like that's me clutching more than anything else. Teresa, is it true that you said on Twitter that you said you'll be starting if we win tomorrow? Hell no. If you've seen that, you gotta share a link or something on the chat, Steve, because yeah, I barely use Twitter to be fair, number one. Um, using a human account. And if anyone wants to tweet me or send me a DM, I definitely respond. But I don't engage in debates or conversations on Twitter just because over the years I've used Twitter and it can be a bit toxic. And it's just not for me, to be fair. I'd rather just do content. If people want to talk to me, come on the show live to have a chat. Um, no point of going back and forth with people that don't even show their face, to be fair. But no, definitely not slotted. Definitely not slotted. uh, Boris saying, don't Abdul, whatever do we need strengthening? One centre back, that's it. For me, I think a centre back is definitely a priority. It's very difficult to sign multiple players in January. I think if he's fully referring to the squad altogether, I'm not sure if he's referring to just January in general. But if you do look at the squad, I do believe a centre back is definitely needed. CDM and a winger. And he's doing winger maybe because he's thinking Salah might leave. Um, but for January, I think it's a must to get a centre back. A centre back has to be a player we bring in just because we like the numbers. In terms of DMs and wingers, I think we have enough in our team or in our squad to go throughout the rest of the season and challenge for major honours. Um, the only reason why we may sign another player in the sort of profile is because they become available and it becomes a more of an opportunistic signing, or if a player that we regard as a number one target is pursued in January, so we have to make the move earlier than planned. But I think, consider that as not the reality and our targets are safe and sound and not being targeted by anyone else. We need to sign a centre back. That is 100% a priority. Whether it happens or not, we don't have full confidence, but let's wait and see. And there's also which players. Steve saying Bossy. He's from Indy. Um, Yamal. We need to sign Yamal. That believes he's got a dream list then. Uh, as I said, what about Prime Messi, CR7, Zidane, Carlos, Cafu, Ramos, the 2022 players? We need to sell some players and bring new players. I don't think we need to sell. I don't think we need to sell that many, to be honest with you. I think there'll be players that leave. Personally, if I'm talking about this summer more than January because I don't think anyone will depart in January. I can see the likes of. I don't know if I think Robertson might leave. To be fair, so that means we need to sign another left back in that situation. I think Konate will end up leaving based on his current stance of not signing a new contract. Someone said Joe Gomez. I think Joe Gomez will stay for another season, then maybe he'll leave on a free. 'Cause I think next year is his last year of his contract. I'd rather have him as a fifth choice centre back, in the squad rather than sell him and then maybe use a young player coming from the ranks. I'd rather have experience of a young player in that position. Endo, I think he can depart next summer. I think he's probably frustrated with his minutes or lack of minutes, I should say. And that goes with Chiesa. I expect him to leave. I expect Chiesa to leave in January. If he doesn't leave, I have to give him huge amount of respect, more so than I do now, because for him not to have been rattled by his current situation and not be so public about it, it's something you have to admire. If I'm being brutally honest with you, I don't think he'll be here next year if he doesn't leave in the January window. Who else? Who else? I think that's pretty much it. The rest are fine, but these players are more, apart from Konate and Robbo, these are more squad players. So, we'll have to probably address that in the summer. But right now, the focus is one game at a time, and hopefully we can find a solution in the January window, i.e. a centre back. I think that is a huge priority. If I had to choose a player, if I had to give you guys a name, I would love for us to sign Schlotterbeck in January. I think he could be available. He could be signed for about 40 to 45 million pounds. For that kind of money and that kind of player that you're going to bring into your club, that is a perfect player to add to the squad. I think he would complement Van Dijk in the short term, but I also think he can be his long-term successor in the team as well. So for me, that's the guy that I would love to bring. New signing with Bastoni from a technical point of view, but I think what's realistic and what is within financial means, I think Schlotterbeck would be worth the money, and I think he would be a fantastic signing there. I would say we need to sack head coach Arne Slot. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Um, Lunch has more of a star than stars. Yeah, he does. But unfortunately, with Lens, it's just a bit too aggressive from an attack point of view. Like it's 100% attack and 0% defense. You got to balance it out. So that's why he's been found out, and that's why he's no longer in employment right now. He got sacked by Forest, and I thought Forest was a bit of a weird appointment just because that's not the way that they've played over the years. That's not the right coach to manage the current crop of players that they have, because those players are built for a very rigid sort of system, defensive minded, low block, long balls. He doesn't have the profile players to change that around in such short space of time. Um, Unfortunately, that's why he wasn't able to notch up too many wins, and that's for why he was dismissed as well. Okay, next topic is Harvey Elliott. Now, you spoke about this the other day, so big up to I think Bo mentioned in terms of his situation. If he can be moved on. So the current sort of news that we're getting is that Harvey Elliott is expected to return to Liverpool, and then the situation will be assessed whether he will stay at the club or Liverpool will find a new solution on loan in January. Now, due to FIFA regulations, Elliott would only be eligible to play for a club outside of Europe and or Liverpool in that situation. So, what do we think will happen with Harvey Elliott? I think number one, it's more than likely that he will return to the club in very short form. I think he'll be here probably next week, to be honest with you. Just because of Villa's current stance, they don't want to fulfill the obligation to sign the player. Of course, there was conditions for that obligation to be met in terms of appearances. He was supposed to notch up 10 appearances, and that would have activated the clause, and then they would have had to have paid the agreed amount, which was around £35 million. Um, he's not performed to their level. Maybe they've realized that wasn't the profile that they really needed in the team, and therefore he's only notched up 5 appearances, including substitute appearances. So because of that, they've been in dialogue with Liverpool to cut the loan short, and I think it's going to happen. So I think Liverpool will have Harvey return to the club in the next few days or next week, because it's 1st of January next week. But what do Liverpool do in this situation? Do we keep him as a squad player, or do we find a solution to loan him out um, of England? Because based on FIFA regulation, he can't be loaned out to another Premier League or English club, from what I know. Um, I think this is what I think the outcome will be. I don't think he will be at Liverpool this season. Arne Slot kind of made it clear in the last week's press conference that he's not even thought about Harvey Elliott returning or becoming an option for us this season. So therefore, for me, in his mind, Harvey Elliott is not even attached with Liverpool. That's what it came across to me. I think the likely destination would be a move to the Bundesliga. There was a lot of interest in the summer from the likes of Red Bull Leipzig. Dortmund registered interest in the player in the past as well. I think that could be a possible destination for him to move over to the Bundesliga, to one of the teams, or maybe there's another German team that would be interested in acquiring his services. I think that is the most likely scenario there, that Elliott moves again on loan, but to a foreign team. And so, yeah, let me know what you guys think. Should we keep Harvey Elliott on board for the rest of the season and then revisit the situation in the summer? Or is the writing on the wall and Arsenal pretty much wants him out and him goes and moves on to a different team? Remains to be seen. I wouldn't mind him staying for the rest of the season. So I think he could be a viable option for us on the right wing as well as the number 10 position. But it's quite obvious Arsenal does not favour the player at all, unfortunately. Just gonna go through a couple of comments here. Darcy says, "Yo, Ozzy, same as last week. Also, Bradley is if fit, if not Finpo, then Leone, if not Ibu, Federico, Hugo, Rio, Vert, and Dom in Dom's position." And Steve asks, "Oh, what were your memories of Sartorius Kyriakos?" I remember him being a no-nonsense defender, very physical, very dominant in the air. And ended up becoming a bit of a top figure. I think just because of his style of defending, uh, yeah, he wasn't the most technically gifted of defenders, but you knew he'd put his body on the line, very physical, dominated. Barely, there was not many players that could challenge him in aerial duels. So yeah, he was a decent defender. Of course, we signed him in his 30s as a short-term solution, but it did the trick for that sort of spell of time. So yeah, he was a decent player. Not my top 10 of all time, but he came in, did a job, became a bit of a cult hero. Kind of similar to how we had Clavan as well, where we knew he had limitations, but whenever they performed on the pitch, they gave their all, and that's what you want from your centre backs as well. In that regards, got sent off against United. Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. To be fair, um, thinking why has Ozzy got a tumbleweed presented on the screen? Or I'll explain why. So apparently, according to the Athletic, Um, James Killjoy Pierce is what I like to call him, and Greg Evans report that Liverpool are planning for a quiet month despite their injuries and the uncertainty in the forward line. So that pretty much says that we're not going to add any new signings in January. So my thoughts on that, I would be very disappointed if we were to sign at least a centre back because I think that is something we really need to into our squad. And at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't do business just because we spent a lot of money in the summer window. And just because things haven't gone to plan, it doesn't mean that FSG will be willing to spend more and more money to cover the cracks on the wall right now. So, I don't know. It's a bit of a shame. I don't think a centre back is needed just because we were supposed to sign a centre back on the last day of the transfer deadline. And because we didn't, but we've gone down to less options. So therefore, that profile should be made as a summer signing because it isn't. Bring it to this January. And if we're not signing any DMs or tackles, I'm content with that. I think a centre back has to be done because that was the area we were supposed to have rectified in the summer and we didn't based on certain gentlemen going to his Pilates class and another idiot saying that it's him or he walks out of the club. So various sort of scenario in terms of the opposition not allowing us to sign the player, and because of that, um, yeah, unfortunately, that missed our season a little bit. Because who knows if we signed okay, we would have played a different style of football. Maybe we would play a back three. Who knows? Um, but we'll wait and see. Let's see what happens. But based on that flag, you normally are quite reliable when it comes to this sort of information. We've attached James Pearce's name, and he's normally killjoy. He normally likes to kill any positive rumors out there. Um, they could be right on this one. We'll have to wait and see. But I feel like the bare minimum has to be a new centre back signing. So let's see what happens. Um, and last but not least, we gotta talk about Mohamed Salah. Now, Egypt were in action earlier on today as they faced South Africa. They were victorious with a 1-0 win, and Salah produced another clutch moment as he was the goal scorer. He managed to score a penalty just before halftime against South Africa, and he has now put Egypt through to the next round. So, congrats to Mohamed Salah. Onwards and upwards for the Egyptian king. Uh, and that is it for today. Just going to go through some of the comments. What about Ragnar Klavan? I'll briefly just touch on it. So kind of like uh Kyrgios where he became a cult hero. But he's decent, decent on the ball. I'd say technically better than Kyrgios. Left-footed. Um, I remember him. I can't remember who he did it against, but there's a moment where he was dribbling the ball and then he kind of not did it for it, but he kind of went forward and back as well. So he kind of made the tackle fall to the ground or made him a bit of made him look silly in that moment. But no, he's decent. He's reliable. Whenever he called upon, he put in a good shift for the team. So yeah, decent player there, the Estonian. Dan says yes, I scored. Yes, he did. He did. What's your 11 for tomorrow? So let me present on the screen for you. I think you've just tuned in. So let me bring it on the screen and then you can see. So my predicted 11 for tomorrow. So I'll go for Isaac, AKS Virgil, Lante, Frimpong as my plan there. Jones, Groundberg, Kane on the right, Verts on the left. Not my choice. I think this is what Arne Slot will do. I think he'll play McClassen in the number 10 role and he'll go for TK up top. So this is my predicted lineup for tomorrow. Uh, and Steve has said, "Would you take both France, Haven, and give it right now to supplement our squad?" Mm, why not? Why not? We need defenders, so um, we may need to use them in rotation. But that would not be my middle selection plans. But look, it's bigger than what we have right now. We don't have any um, centre back options in our squad. So yes, I have to accept that. Why not? We need all the players we need right now. Steve said now your plan needs to be in the number 10 roles. Look, I'm not saying for one. You guys need for someone crying. He should be a number 10. But that lineup is my predicted lineup. And I feel like when we mentioned Keys, it seems a bit like, come on, stop something with him. But based on players that are available, he probably doesn't have much choice that to play Chiesa tomorrow. So if this is my team,
We have
let
charming
me try and switch up a
sceneries
little bit. So
of timeless cities.
don't know why I've got random ads coming up there. So in this scenario, I would. This wouldn't happen. So I'm just gonna have to do it. I would literally put Verts in a 10, and I would play Rio, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have actually said as well. But is he not on this website? There he is. So yeah, that's what I would have done. But that's not gonna happen. So unfortunately, yeah, that's not going to be a reality because the coach will favour the experience of McAllister. But yeah, Mike Knight needs to play in that number 10 role, but I don't think he'll be given an opportunity based on the players available. If Szoboszlai was playing, then maybe he would have given him a chance to play there, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Uh, but that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me give a shout out to everyone before we close the show. Shout out to Bo, to Delulu Steve, shout out to Abdul. Who else do we have? Shout out to Dara. Shout out to Eddie's Football Waffle. Shout out to who else do we have? Oh, there was another comment that came in. Shout out to Double D, big up Double D. As always. I think, and shout out to Daz as well. Big up to yourselves, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Yes, if you haven't already, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. In terms of upcoming shows, I plan on doing a watch along for this fixture tomorrow. It's a 3 p.m. kickoff, so we'll try and be live just before the game begins. Present the lineup, see who actually starts tomorrow, and we'll watch the game. Will I need a pillow during the game? Quite possibly. So it will be on standby. Um, let, let's hope it's not a ball fest, and let's hope we win the game with a large margin because we're due to have a game where we're thrashing someone. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I would like to see. Whether it's a reality or not, only time will tell. But that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care, stay safe, and I hope to speak with you all tomorrow. Goodbye.